So firstly, just want to start off by acknowledging that I'm joining the call today on Bunurong country here in Victoria in the southeastern suburbs, and very happy and proud to acknowledge this country and the traditional owners of this country. With the Young Achiever Awards, we really draw a lot of inspiration from the way that First Nations culture tells story, how they share stories down through generations. And so when we have all these amazing young achievers that we come into contact, we feel great pride to tell your stories. Um, so we're constantly drawing inspiration from that. So as we get going, I suppose we'll keep letting people join as they come in. Reminder, it's being recorded. And I'll throw to our amazing guest, Theo. So, Theo, you can tell me how I go with your surname here. Theo Kapodistrias
Perfect.
is a multi-award winning lawyer based in Hobart, Tasmania. He's also an award-winning speaker, MC, and public speaking and presentation skills coach, running his own business, Theo Cap, which you can find at www.theocap.com.au. Theo is also the author of Away with Words, published by Rethink Press. This book became an Amazon bestseller in 5 categories in its first 24 hours on sale. Theo's held senior legal roles as general counsel at Stacked Farm and a bunch of other stuff as well. He's been recognised for his work in the legal and community space, winning several awards, and been named one of Australia's most influential lawyers by the Australian Lawyer magazine. So another thing is that Theo took on the role as executive director and licensee of TEDx Hobart and is the host of a podcast titled Craft Messages That Matter. So Theo has also been a finalist in our awards back in 2019. So Theo, I think without any further ado, let's welcome you on and hand over the reins to you to tell us a bit about public speaking, presentation, and maximizing your moment on stage.
That's it. Thanks, Josh. I think I've been a finalist a couple times, actually, just to correct you there. But
Thank you.
I never won. I was always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. Anyway, I'll put my bitterness aside. I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country as well. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we meet and conduct business today. So we acknowledge the elders, past and present, of all the lands which we work and live, and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. So thank you, Josh. Thank you, Awards Australia team, for having me on. I think we're going to have a pretty fun time, and I'd love this to be interactive. Um, as Josh said, we've got the comment section. I'll check sporadically throughout the session. Um, if I miss something today, I'm sure Josh will point it out, and we can have a chat about it. I'm also happy if you want to raise your hand, and we can do a question on the spot if you want as well. So I think that's fun, but I'll also have space at the end for us to have a bit of a convo. Because it would suck if it was just me talking at you for that long. Boring, right? So I want to just preface this with I love an award submission. So you've heard award winning this, award winning that, nominated for this, blah, blah, blah. And often we put so much time and effort into putting an award submission together. We work tirelessly to write it, to think of some of the best examples to include, to make it sound really good. We rewrite bids, we agonize if it sounds good enough. Who's been through this journey? Who wants to put your hand up? Yeah, I'm seeing some nods. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it can feel really, yeah, yeah, yeah. It can feel really painful, can't it? Yeah, it can end in a really positive result, such as being selected as one of the semi-finalists or even a finalist, and then maybe the winner. That's pretty cool. But there's often a mistake people make in this process. They go to all the work of preparing for the submission itself, but they do not prepare an awards speech. And it's super, super common for people not to do this because they think, well, maybe I won't win. Why should I bother? Firstly, that is the wrong attitude because you could win. And secondly, what would happen then if you do win and you don't have anything ready and you haven't thought about it and you haven't prepared anything and you're just going to get up there, you're going to get up there and wing it? You're going to miss this moment where there could be some really, useful people there. It could be your family, it could be your friends. It's having like this really great moment on stage. There could be a bunch of people in that room who could be potentially useful for you in the future. Also, just great connections. So, why wouldn't you want to give this moment the importance that could have for you? So, why is this often then something that we don't worry about or we forget and we just don't do? It can come down to a few things. One of them is people just, don't have that self-confidence in themselves. They think, oh, I shouldn't bother. Sometimes it's because people are afraid of public speaking. And that's a very common thing I hear. People are often terrified of this idea of speaking in public. So Jerry Seinfeld, who he's probably a lot of you wouldn't know because you're all under 30, but he had a popular show in the 90s called Seinfeld. He has a quote which I really love, and I whip it out in some of these sessions. And it's according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Does that sound right? This means that to the average person, if you go to the funeral, you'd be better off in the casket than doing the eulogy.
I know which one I
Crazy.
prefer to do.
Which one, Josh?
Yeah, I'll
Which
do
is
the
your
eulogy,
preferred?
thanks.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. Um, and it's really common for people to have this fear. 85% of people feel a level of nervousness when public speaking. And I've been doing some research into this, and we feel this nervousness because it's part of the human evolution, the human condition. So evolution has wired us to um, pay very close attention to the relative status to others around us. So status, when we talk about it in this context, refers back to that sort of evolutionary past, right? So the caveman-y days where we were hanging out in groups of maybe like 100-ish people, and your status in comparison to others meant survival. So the lower status meant that you were less likely to get shelter, food, or find a mate. And when we speak in front of others, it brings back that evolutionary fear that we might lower our status. There's a risk that our status will lower because we can become fearful about what other people might think of us. We worry that we might say something silly or it'll be on film or, someone will laugh at something that we say, not because we made it funny, but because people are judgmental like that. Does anyone have this fear? Does anyone sitting on this call think, oh, I feel that, I'm scared of that?
Yeah, I think I would like to share something here. I mean,
Yes.
initially I used to have that fear of public speaking, but what really happens is initially you have that fear, but when you start it, and if you feel like you're getting like a positive response from the audience itself, like you can actually sort of get an idea from their body language. And then once you are comfortable, I think then you can go through it like, okay, now I'm comfortable and I can speak through it. This is how, my teaching journey is like this only. So initially I used to be like, oh, what my students will think of me, but eventually, it settled. And I think if you speak something from your heart, then you actually have that flow of the conversation. And if you're speaking something scripted, then I think your mind gets sort of confused. Oh, this was the line, this was the line. So, and for me, I think scripted things never work. It's
Mm,
all about, if I have got some dot points maybe in my mind, okay, maybe I'll talk about this or I'll talk about this. I think that flows smoothly. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think yeah. Again, every opportunity or if I would say platform is different. So you still need to prepare, but it's just that it really depends on how comfortable you are in conversing with the audience.
Yeah. I love that. And
Yeah.
one of the things with speaking is it's a muscle. So the more you
Mm,
work at it, the stronger it is. So that you become far
exactly.
more comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I find that if I haven't done any speaking for like a little while, before I get on stage, I'm like, scared, terrified. But
Exactly.
then, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But I do it all the time, right? So now it's just like, eh, whatever.
You can just, whatever you ask me, I can just speak, when you have that. And if you are getting those opportunities to speak, so you develop that flow, right? And
Hmm,
now,
hmm.
and yeah, and then it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Thank you, Manvi. I love that. That's some really great points there. And we're going to talk about the idea of like scripting and notes and that sort of thing as well, because I think that's important. Because preparation is the best way to be comfortable, but you don't necessarily want to read everything, right? Because it can sound a little bit robotic. We've got a few comments which we'll just look at. So Jasmine says, my son does. He's very scared of having to speak to a lot of people, and just in case that he might actually win terrifies him. No, but it's excitement, right? He's excited. I will put my assistance dog in the screen to make it up. Yay, we love dogs. Um, I have been doing public speaking since, oh, hello. I've been doing public speaking since grade 7, 12 years old. Will be 30 this year, and it still terrifies me. Numa, do you want to talk about that? Do you want to, do you want to have the opportunity to speak now?
Yeah, is that Emily? Are you comfortable to join us?
Hey, um, this is Pansy, my assistant dog. And it, Pansy, look at the screen. There we go. There we go. There's Pansy. So hopefully that makes up for me being late. But yeah, as I said in the chat, public speaking still terrifies me, and I've done it since I was 12. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting if I do win this year. But yeah, I think the tip that I've learned throughout the years is that just with these kind of things, just remember to not forget who you are when you're speaking, because you're thinking about you and about your story. So and people want to listen to you. So yeah, that's the biggest key thing, I think. But yeah, but realistically, Pansy would prefer me to talk about Pansy things like different things. So we'll see how we go.
Love it. But that's so true. I'll talk a little bit about this now because you've brought it up, and that is the idea of you want to build connection with the audience. You want to be able to get there and show who you are. And we build connection through being truthful. I always talk about like, the sort of business leaders who get them to a front, like into a room and they talk and they, try and encourage everyone to do this, do that, but it seems so fake. And when it's fake, everyone goes into the back room and they're like, "Ugh, can you believe that?" But if it came from a place of, genuine kindness, authenticity, people would be far more respectful of that. But unfortunately, that isn't the case sometimes. So for you and for this moment, you can use this opportunity to build trust with a whole bunch of people in just a couple of minutes because you are being authentically you. You're talking about yourself. You're talking about how much this means to you. You're talking about the amazing opportunity that it is to be in this room with these people and to have achieved this thing. And I've got a little structure that we'll work through as well, so how you can think about to deliver the speech as well. But it's important to think, I've got a moment where I can build trust with a bunch of people. It's important they see who I am on stage and then create that opportunity to connect with people through how you communicate and how great that can be. So we'll look at a little bit more of that coming up too. I thought it could be fun just to show you how cool speaking can be, to run a little activity with everyone. It's a very quick activity. I'll get everyone to close their eyes because I'm going to do some imagination. All right. So if everyone's eyes are closed, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you to imagine some stuff. I'd like you to imagine an elephant. So can you see the elephant in your mind? Now, that elephant has a red trunk. And on the elephant's head is a parrot. And on the parrot's head is a Santa hat. So I just want you to hold on to that image for a moment. Okay, you can open your eyes. I want to see some thumbs up. Could you see that image in your head? Yes. Yes. Oh, look at all those thumbs. Henry, don't be like that. You put a thumb up. There we go. So we're able to see this because we understand what an elephant looks like. We know the color concepts. You know what a parrot is. You know what a Santa hat is. But this is a combination that has never existed in history. But now it's going to live in your mind rent-free. And that is because we know what these things are. We've been able to communicate that in a very simple way. And we've been able to I've been able to transfer this image from my imagination to your head. And you can do that through how we communicate, right? So you are transferring this knowledge, this expertise, this feeling that you have to other people because you are sharing that knowledge and you're sharing that thing. And this is the power that we can do with our words. And I think that is just so nice that we've got this opportunity to really transfer knowledge through just a few words. And a moment on stage is only going to be quick, right? It's only a couple minutes. No one wants anyone to be up there for like 8 hours. I mean, the whole awards night might go for that long, but your speech should only be a couple of minutes, and you can do a lot in that time. So it's really cool. How'd it go for everyone? Any comments? Anyone want to say anything about that?
Oh, Amelia has said, did anyone else see a cartoon elephant and parrot, or did people visualize a real elephant and parrot? So I saw a cartoon elephant,
Did you? I like that.
100% cartoon. I actually was acknowledging that to myself in my head, going, I wonder why that's a cartoon elephant, but I just went with it. So we got real elephant, cartoon. Oh, a lot of cartoons. I thought I was the weird one, but apparently not.
See, I see a real one. So that's
Yeah.
funny. That's cool. I like how we've been able to be creative with that too. So that is great. Anyone else have anything to say? Oh no, I picked a cartoon one. Haha. Cool. Anyone else? No. One thing I'll talk about is this idea of confidence, because I think giving people some tools to feel a bit more confident is going to be important. But I want us to first look at this idea of confidence, because confidence is often something we gain from proving to ourselves that we can do the thing. Because we don't just wake up one day and become confident. You build confidence from having first the courage to do the thing. So when we prove to ourselves that we can do it because we use courage, then we gain confidence. Now, there might not be a lot of opportunity between now and the awards nights to keep doing some stuff, but actually, you know what? There's a really cool AI tool that you could probably practice with if you want to. Let me find the URL, because this will give you the opportunity to actually have a bit of a crack, have a bit of a practice and see how you go, to
Good
help
idea.
give you a bit of the confidence. I mean, why not? So I'm going to put it in the chat. For those listening, it's https the dots the slashes Yoodli, yoodli.ai. I'm sending it there. So this is a little AI tool which you can use to record yourself and get some live feedback and have a little practice. So while everyone grabs that, I want to talk about, so when we feel, I guess, that nervousness, it can show up in a few ways, right? It's the shallow breathing, it's the sweaty palms, it can be feeling clammy. We might be struggling to sleep thinking about it because we know it's coming. And I don't want anyone to feel that because that can be quite scary. But these are the symptoms of stress.
Yep.
So stressful situations can make us feel really sick. They can make us feel uncomfortable, and we just don't like it. Josh, you were saying something?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was going to say for me, I don't mind public speaking. I still definitely get nervous about it, which I know someone
Yeah,
else mentioned in the chat. Still get
yeah,
nervous about it, but in an exciting way. But I cannot control my hands shaking.
yeah.
I
You know what's great
cannot.
though?
This like I'm confident enough to get up there and say something, but it's a
Yeah,
physical thing that I just cannot control. So I try not to have paper notes because I
yeah,
literally you can see them shake. So
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to add that it's normal. You know what I mean?
It's so normal. It's so normal. And you know what's really great though? Like with the awards, there is a lectern. So anyone has those shaky hands, you can just put them on the lectern, keep them flat, and then no one will see or know because no one was looking because they can't see because it's on an angle. So you're all good, right? So that's a nice way to help that. But there's a few things you can do to actually get rid of some of that like stress feeling and some of that like jittery feeling that we get. Um, so the jittery feeling is often caused by all that adrenaline in our bodies. Um, and it can make us just do those like movements. So one thing you can do is like beforehand do some star jumps, do a little bit of running, like get some of that energy out. Now, obviously, we're going to be dressed up, looking fancy. I'm going to be at the Hobart event. Probably not the best condition to be running in, but it's a good way to, I guess, expel some energy if you like really, really need to. Um, Another thing to do is do a bit of a reframe. Reframe with yourself what nervousness is and what this feeling is, because it's really important that you acknowledge the stress. But what you do with it, you can say, well, I'm not stressed, I'm excited. And if you keep telling yourself that, you'll believe it, which is one of those crazy things. Our brain is wired to believe what we tell it. So you can tell it and convince it that actually, no, I'm not nervous and I'm not stressed about this. I'm excited. And the more you tell yourself that, the more you believe it. Uh, and that gives you then the opportunity to use that energy to harness it for the speaking opportunity rather than it like inhibiting you, which is really cool. So we love that. Um, it can be really good as well to, you know, ask yourself like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I stressed? And if you like really come down to it, it's probably because you care and you care about the opportunity. It's because you care about it, it's important that you prepare for it. So having a little bit of preparation can help give you that control back. So we can sometimes feel nervous and uncomfortable because we are lacking control with what we're doing. But if we gain a little bit of that control back, that can be really useful. And you can do that in a few ways. So you can um, prepare like a couple of dot points down. I'm sure everyone's got a phone. I mean, there's probably some really young people on here, so they might not have phones, but there are probably a few who do have phones. Typing a couple of dot points in the Notes app on your phone, save you. That'll be the thing that is like useful. Um, and we're going to go through a structure which you can follow, which can give you a bit of like a guide as to, oh, these are some of the points I could touch on and how I can put it together. But something else we can do to help calm ourselves down if we're feeling stressful. And you can do this like really anywhere, anytime, and no one even notice, is a thing called box breathing. Who's heard of box breathing before? Yep, okay, seeing a couple hands.
I've heard of
Great.
it, but I couldn't explain it to you, so this will be handy.
Well,
Is that the 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out? 4 second
basically,
hold, 4 seconds out?
yeah. Essentially. So I'm going to run through it. And for the lucky person who gets to win my book, that's here. There's even like a whole little chunk on it in here too, because I think it's just a really cool tool. So what you do is, so breathing is a really great way to sort of calm your nerves down. It helps center you and it helps keep you focused. So that it works like this. So you can pretend you're like building a box if it helps to map out how you do it. But first you breathe in for 4 seconds. Then you hold that breath for 4 seconds. You breathe out across 4 seconds. And then you hold for 4 seconds. And then you keep doing this. You do this over and over and over. I'd say 3 to 5 times. That can help really calm you down. You'll feel and notice that your like heartbeat will start calming itself down. So you'll go from like really intense to quite chill, which is good. And that can be really good if you like your award's about to be announced and they're talking about the finalists and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's me, it's my moment. Crap can help center you a little bit, which is pretty good. So I've created a little bit of a structure that I think can work really well for award speeches. And it's called the ACE structure. So ACE. The A stands for acknowledge. This is your opportunity to thank Awards Australia, the Young Achievers Awards, and the judges really briefly. This is your opportunity to thank and recognize teammates, family, friends, collaborators, people who have supported you along the way. And you can keep this like super tight. You don't want to drag it out, but it's something short and sharp. It's really good. So that's the acknowledge part. You then want to be able to connect. So share a short insight or a story or the meaning behind the work. You want to be able to answer the question of, why does this matter? Why does this thing matter to you? And what's brought you to the point of being able to win this? So why is this important? This is the part that can make your speech really memorable. Some examples can be maybe there was a challenge that you overcame, why you care about this work so much, and who this award is really for. So maybe you've been doing something for the community and that's been why you've been able to receive this recognition. Who is it that you've helped and who are you representing there? Like, what are you doing? I think this is such an important thing. And then the E for end strong. One clear closing line, ideally a forward-looking or uplifting thing. Think of it as like your mic drop moment. So it could be encouraging people to get out there and to help. It could be to support a cause. It could be something like that. These are the things that I think can make a really big difference in like a successful speech to a, oh yeah, that was fine speech. So being able to use this little structure can be super useful, and you don't have to, I guess like having some dot points is going to be really useful. You don't have to like have everything written out word for word, because that can sound a little bit robotic. If that's helpful for you, do it and practice with it. But if you don't want to do that and just want to have a couple of dot points, a couple of keywords to, remember what to say, then that'll be really good too. Because I think that can be super effective in these situations. That was a bulk of what I had, but I'd love to hear you. Do you have any questions for me? Josh, I reckon you want to quiz me on stuff. Um, Amelia, I see that you've written something. Do you want to share it out loud? Do you want
Yeah,
to
go
join
go
us?
ahead, Amelia.
I just wrote that I don't know if this is relatable to anyone, but I feel more stressed talking to people at the awards events, like more stressful than I would public speaking or accepting an award. I don't feel too stressed about that, weirdly enough. But I do feel quite shy at an awards event talking to people at the event because they're
Mm.
typically quite impressive people and people that I maybe put on a bit of a pedestal or admire. So I wonder if there's any strategies for that. I know it's not public speaking, but it's still, I guess, speaking at the awards.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Everyone's there to have a good time. Um, people, I mean, some people might be like important, but they're there for you. They're not there for anything other than celebrating the finalists and the people that are contributing to this amazing network. So I think it's about reframing it to the point of, well, actually, um, they're celebrating me, so they should be thankful that I'm here, and focusing on that rather than, oh, wow, it's the premiere. Like half the time I see Premier Rockcliffe, so the Premier of Tasmania, at like my coffee shop all the time, and I'm like, hey, what's up? Um, and he's just like, oh, hello. And that's that. Now he just sees me around. He's like, oh, hey, it's you. I'm like, hey. Um, they're just people. Everyone's just people. So I guess try not to put people in like a thing of importance. They're not that special at the end of the day. Everyone's the same. But a really useful networking tip. So if you are just mingling around and want to just talk to random people, which I love, um, if you see a pair of people, like two people talking together, and you don't know them, but you think, oh, I want to approach, leave them. Pairs are very hard to break into because they're clearly just talking to each other. If you see a group of three, that is your moment to jump in because three people cannot have a conversation. Two people are talking to each other, and one person's just there, like nodding, like, mm-hmm. So that third person is going to be so happy that someone else has just come in.
And I mean, I would be hopeless at networking, but do you have any like tips for how you should approach that conversation?
I mean, it's always good just to walk in and say, oh, I thought I'd just say hello. Like, going to use this opportunity to just meet some new people. Hi, I'm Amelia. And then, you could ask, oh, like, what brings you here? Are they under the finalists? Are they supporting someone? A bit of that chatter banter. Then they'll ask you, and then you can say, oh, I'm here because I'm a finalist or, whatever it might be. And then you can just go from there. Like really, it's about with conversations, you want to be able to give stuff so the other person has stuff to pick up. I call it conversational threading. So those conversations where people say, "How are you?" and then someone responds, "Good." You got nothing to work with there, right? But if people say, "Oh, I'm good. It's been like a really productive day. I've been able to do so much stuff." Oh, what have you been doing? What stuff have you been doing? And then it goes back. It's like the game of ping pong in conversation. So when you've got those threads, you can pull at them. So as long as you give some info, you'll get some stuff back, and then you'll be able to um, play conversation ping pong.
Yeah, Theo, just wanted to jump in and say I really think that was a great point about that connective question. What do you,
Mm,
you know, what your you wouldn't say what's your purpose of being here, but do you know what I mean? Yeah, are you here to support someone? You know what I mean? Because attending so many gala dinners myself and going around the country, I'm actually shocking at remembering people sometimes. And so sometimes I know that, we clearly got a connecting reason why we're there, but
mm,
finding out who they are. And then from there, as you said, the connective thread, I think that was just really, really great advice. And it will really help any conversation. If you're there at the awards night, that's going to be an easy conversation starter. Secondly, with we try and promote finalists as much as we can. And so hopefully, you're following our socials and you've seen some of the fellow finalists and you'll know, roughly that they might be a finalist. And so if there is someone, Amelia, you mentioned that there was some people you admire, for example, that is now an easy approach where someone maybe you wouldn't go up to them normally because you might think, oh, okay, I admire them, I'm going to speak to them. Congratulations on being a finalist. As I'd seen something about you before on LinkedIn or whatever it was. It was really cool to see that you're a finalist as well. And so,
Mm.
yeah, just use those kind of things you have in common to do it. And I'd also like to share just very quickly a little anecdote I saw of someone who gave an amazing masterclass at networking at one of our events. And I thought that, she's just a natural networker that she, but talking to her afterwards, compliments, I'm really impressed. I saw you, networking around with all these different people. And she said, oh, it doesn't come naturally to me. I really challenged myself tonight to do this. And the way that she did it was, you said rehearsing before, Theo. She kind of
Mm.
rehearsed like her own elevator pitch because she was understood that people might ask her when she was trying to network, okay, what are you doing here? Or you're a finalist, what do you do? And so she said she struggled with that. So it was almost
Mm.
practicing her answers was what was making her nervous, not so much going up to speak to people. But when that conversational ping pong takes place and it's her turn to hit back, she was worried about that. And she
Yeah.
said that really helped her because she just practiced this one little response and she could use it in 20 different conversations that night because they're all different
Love
conversations.
it.
It didn't matter that she was recycling that content. And that really stood out to me as a really smart, simple way to kind of go in with the plan.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Oh, we've got a question from Sumaya. Is that how we say your name? If you would please correct me because I
Uh,
don't want to.
yes, it is Maya.
Awesome. Um, you've asked about people like me who are of diverse backgrounds, as a few of us have different accents and pace of speaking. Sometimes we get a bit hesitant to speak publicly. Is there any suggestion or advice you can provide on that? I think people with accents actually have, I mean, we all have an accent, right? But I think people with accents have a huge advantage, which you might not realize. When people sound a little bit different, people focus in a little bit more because they have to, because it sounds slightly different to the ear. People hone in. So there's this really great opportunity that you can get more people focused on you and what you're saying because you are, just slightly different, but like, in a great way. So we
Mhm.
love that. So there's definitely, nothing to fear there. Um, I think with the pace thing, everyone's going to have a different pace and rhythm and tone. So also nothing, no issue there. Um, I think just, being able to have that level of confidence in yourself is going to be really important. Never fear, like no one's judging you based on an accent. If they are, then they should leave, basically. Um, but because no one cares. I think diversity is great. I'm Greek. I've got like Greek family. They all have, different accents. I think it's fun. I've got, you know, Brazilian friends and they have, these amazing like Latino accents. It's great. I think the more diverse, the better. Otherwise, it's all just white paste. So there you go. I think, use it to your advantage because you're just awesome.
Thank you, Theo.
No worries.
Thanks, Sumaya. Are there any other questions that anyone had? Great chance to ask your question before we wrap up. For me, Theo, I really liked that structure that you gave. I've been taking down my own notes because it's just an easy way to develop a speech. And I'll quickly share another anecdote of Romany Wake, who was the 2025 Tasmanian Young Achiever of the Year. And, Romany was absolutely certain she wasn't going to win. In fact, she almost didn't attend the awards night last minute because she'd had a big week. She was feeling a bit, that there was life overwhelms happening. And she's like, well, I'm not winning. So there's literally no point. Thankfully, her friend she was going with helped change her mind and she came along. and she hadn't written a speech until we have our briefing and rehearsal that we do just before the gala dinner. And we're saying, we really encourage you to make a speech. And it's also one of the reasons we're doing this is to really hammer home that, as Theo said, this is your moment to take on stage, and you don't know what will happen afterwards or what could come, what opportunities could come from that. So thankfully, Romany thought, all right, well, I better write something down. So she wrote some notes out on her phone, and you never would have known listening to her speak that she hadn't prepared something in advance, because she used a lot of the tips that you've given here, Theo, and people have mentioned about speaking from the heart. She kind of, maybe she had read your book there because she kind of followed your speech structure. So it was really
No,
good. And I've just heard that so many times from people. They get up on stage to accept their award and they go, I wasn't expecting this, so I haven't prepared anything. And it made me think of something you said at the start. What are we scared of about public speaking? And I think sometimes it's the worry, the fear of what if I don't win?
mm,
And I just wanted to take this moment to encourage you all, whether you're a finalist or whether there's something in your life that you're going for and you don't quite get that final accolade, doesn't mean you've lost. In fact, simply by being nominated proves that you are pretty amazing. To be shortlisted through the judging to become a finalist, you've already won. If you don't get to say the speech that you've prepared, there will be other opportunities to use it. I've seen some amazing, whether it's LinkedIn posts or things like that, people have utilized the words they were going to say, and it was received so wonderfully, and people are supported so strongly that I think you'll be really glad that you wrote it, even if it's simply as a reflective piece, or you might have something that you can share in the next speaking opportunity. And trust me, I believe there will be great opportunities for you from being a finalist, from being promoted in this way. So take that chance. I hope you can follow these tips from Theo because they're excellent tips. And I want to see, for me personally, I want to see you all have that chance to be celebrated and to share and maximize that moment on stage. Because for me, yeah, it's really special and it's kind of the final piece of the awards puzzle. So
mm. We've got a couple more questions that have come through. I know we're over time, but we can try and zip through them, right? What
or
about Young
Emily's,
Achiever of the Year?
yeah, I'll quickly just touch on that. It's a good point, Emily. It's kind of you do get, so if you are a category winner and then later in the night, at the very end, the Young Achiever of the Year is announced, you are invited to have a second speech, and you kind of probably done, your thank yous and your acknowledgements and that kind of stuff. So I'd say from there, you don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. I think the best speeches almost touch on what you've already said, reaffirming what it means. You get a second chance, there might be an additional thank you you've got or a call to action. So yeah, I don't feel like you need to reinvent the wheel necessarily. If you want to, Theo might have a good tip on this. If you want to kind of, again, he said there's only a few minutes. If there's something extra you would have said, that's a great chance to include that there. Theo, did you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a really great opportunity to, yeah, give that like sort of final call to action, right? So you don't have to, you've already thanked everyone. You can say, look, I don't want to repeat myself. Thanks again to everyone who supported me along the way. I'm going to leave everyone with a final message. And that's your opportunity to like do that big mic drop moment. Whoa, bam, hit them with that. I think that'll be really cool. So I think that's probably the opportunity to do that. I did see a question about how long should it be? No more than a couple minutes, right? So you couple hundred words, a couple like I don't know, 5 to 6 dot points. That heaps more
I'm
than
going to
enough.
share a secret here. Now, I'm not the event manager for these events, so don't tell whoever you're working with in my team is Emily or Christy or Steph. We scare you by in our briefing notes saying you try and keep your speech to a minute. That's just so that we're setting the expectation that it's not a long speech. The real answer is what
Mm.
Theo said. A couple of minutes. You're the reason that people are there. They want to hear from you. So don't feel that you need to, make it so short that you can't get your message across. But I suppose the point is that it is a long night, and so we're trying to give everyone their moment. And so if you take 10 minutes, then unfortunately someone might feel that they don't have an opportunity to share as well. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, because they'll do the thing like they do with the Oscars where they play music over you and they kick you off. Right, Josh?
Exactly.
Yeah, knew it. Cool. Well, that's us. We're at time, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's probably time to let everyone get on with their day. Thank you, everybody, for taking part of it, take part of this webinar. I can't wait to see you in person. We have the book. Now,
Someone's gonna win.
Theo, did you want to hand it out or did you want me to do it?
Oh, look, it's you've got the book. You get to choose who it goes to.
I've got the book, and I was just as you were, finishing up, I was looking through and I was trying to pick the best question. That's how I was going to do it, but there were so many great
Mm.
questions, and so I thought I'd, reward someone who had the bravery to jump on and have their question, in front of everyone, and who was really active in the chat. So Emily and Pansy, I'd like to award the book to you, and I'll post it to you so that you have a chance to read it ahead of the gala dinner. So I'll message you after this and do that. And Amelia, you were a close second, but we share the same surname. I didn't want anyone to think we were related, which we're not. So I couldn't give it to you. Apologies, Amelia.
Yeah, it's the nepotism's just not good.
Exactly. Well, Theo, I want to thank you very much for making this time out of your busy schedule. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, your thoughts, your award-winning presentation and public speaking expertise. And if anyone has any questions, more like, I suppose, process questions around the awards night, feel free to email me after this. Feel free to follow Theo on Instagram. He does share really good content around presenting and public speaking and stuff. So at Theo Cap88 from memory, is that right? Do you want to pop in the
Yep,
chat? Lovely.
that's me.
And yeah, I think we'll head off and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thanks, everyone.